Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who has a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today I'll be doing a review of Ticket to Paradise, which is a film being distributed by Universal, and I want to first give a shout out to Universal for sending me a Blu-ray copy to review, but also I want to make very clear that this was sent to me free of charge, and I'm not being paid for my review. Neither does it need to be approved before I actually give it, so these are going to be my actual thoughts about the film, but again, shout out to Universal for sending me this copy. First, about the actual copy itself, this goes by the collector's edition. I don't quite understand what is collector's edition about this brand new release. I don't see how this is going to be any different than a typical standard release. This does come with a Blu-ray, DVD, and digital code, and it does come with bonus features, including never before seen bonus content such as behind the scenes footage capturing the return of the dynamic duo to a screen and a look into the production of Paradise. So again, that's the reason why I don't quite understand how this is a collector's edition. If this is how they're going to start labeling for movies that actually have special features to them, that kind of gives me some concern, because that should just be a standard Blu-ray release, let alone a so-called collector's edition. But it does come with, again, Blu-ray, DVD, and also a digital code. And this film does feature George Clooney and Julia Roberts teaming up together once again on the big screen. It also features performances from Caitlin Dever, who has been in various films and TV shows. Also, Billie Lourd. Of course, I know her mostly because of her appearance in the Star Wars franchise as being the daughter, obviously, of a major icon, Princess Leia. And then Maxime Boutier, French Indonesian actor, model, musician, who is rather, again, quite green throughout the process. And then Lucas Bravo as well, who plays the romantic partner of Julia Roberts. And that ultimately, I think, leads to kind of the initial discussion about the movie itself. It is about as generic by the numbers rom-com that you can possibly get. It's George Clooney and Julia Roberts. It starts off with both of them in different locations, talking about how amazing things were at the very beginning of their marriage. And then as soon as they're asked the question of, oh, well, where is your husband? Where is your wife? Oh, no, we're not married, because they got divorced basically within the first 5 years of their marriage, which is a very common trope. And basically they've come together because they want to sabotage the wedding of their daughter, who has gone off to Bali after graduating from college. She's about to start a career back in the States. And before that, though, she wants to have a little bit of fun in Bali with her best friend, played by Billie Lourd. And in the process, ends up meeting and falling in love with Maxime Boutier, and therefore decides to marry him, basically within about a 30 to 40 day period. So you already have that dynamic going for it, right? That's something that we have seen in other romantic comedies before. And it's also in that sense of that almost hyper realism. Like, does that happen? Absolutely. But is it realistic? Again, I think that those are two very different questions. But this ends up bringing George Clooney and Julia Roberts back together in Bali, in the most romantic of all locations, where they, again, come together to try to sabotage this wedding. So the whole time, you're looking at these two people in Bali, or rather in, I believe it was filmed mostly in Australia. They did, in the special features, it goes into how they did everything within their power to make it look as authentic as possible. They had various people involved. In fact, the father of the character played by Maxime Boutier, right, one of the Balis, or Balinese, or whatever it might be. Actually, the father of him was a consultant originally, and then ended up being cast as the father. So again, it was interesting to see that dynamic, and I actually liked that dynamic within the movie. And there's no denying also that the dynamic between George Clooney and Julia Roberts is very good. They have a lot of great on-screen chemistry. But the entirety of the movie, it just honestly feels like, okay, here are two high-profile, overpaid actors who were given a script, and they both in the special features say, we read the script and we were like, oh yeah, we got to do it. And I can't help but think, oh no, they probably saw the film and said, wait a minute, we get to go off and film this in an exotic location. We get to go to Queensland, Australia, and film this from November to February. And basically just to get to have a darn good time in the process, and get paid for it. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Because that's how it felt like. It felt like there were two mainstream Hollywood actors just hanging out in an exotic location, doing stuff on screen. That's honestly how the film came across. And I know that there are some people who have said that, well, it kind of is a throwback to some of the 90s rom-coms, and so there's almost that sense of nostalgia within it. There's almost that sense of comfort that comes with it. But I do think that this is definitely something that has caused a lot of people to be quite mixed. I mean, the rating on IMDb is 6.2. When you look to the overall Google ratings, you can see it's 3.4. So very middling ratings, to say the very least. 57% on Rotten Tomatoes, apparently. Fandango, 87%. So as you can see, there's a wide range. I think that people who went to go see this film in just a casual way probably came out enjoying it. Again, there's nothing really offensive in the movie. It's not that it's a bad movie. It's not that it's a film that is going to leave you saying, oh, I can't believe I wasted my time on that, because it's just there, right? It's just a generic rom-com film, and that's really all that there is to say about the actual story itself. There's nothing really all that special to it. You obviously can see where things are going. It's not really spoilers to say anything about, oh, it's a divorced couple hanging out in one of the most romantic places in the world where their daughter is about to get married. They're trying to sabotage that marriage. What do you think is going to end up happening? I will let you post your thoughts in the comments below, and I bet that 99% of you will probably guess what happens by the end of the movie. And again, I think that ultimately you have these really beautiful shots of this location, but it still also looks incredibly artificial and fake. Now, I think part of it is because we live in this age of digital media, and we live in this age of digital cameras, so everything just looks much more artificial than it used to when you had film cameras, even with digital transfers. But also, I think there are some sequences in the movie that are clearly CGI'd as well, right, where there's clearly a lot of visual effects added on. There's one thing in the special features that kind of had me, scratching my head a little bit, because there's a sequence that happens in an airplane, and it looks like they had constructed an actual airplane set to be able to make it look like they were, experiencing turbulence. The problem is that you find out that only part of the airplane was actually construct. The rest of it was actually blue screen, green screen. And basically, it's like all of the sides of the plane were CGI'd. And so it just kind of bothered me a little bit, because I was like, wait a minute. Like, this is what we are doing now. We are relying so heavily on CGI that even in our set building, we have to account for the windows. We have to account for some of these basic things that could have been dealt with. And then it just reminds me, and it just made me think, oh, this is why the film looked so artificial at times, right? Even in some of the landscape shots, right? Even in some of the shots of these different locations, I thought to myself, okay, I think some of this is either CGI'd, or that the cameras, again, are just adding that sense of artificial quality to it, that it makes it hard to be able to truly enjoy the visuals that you're seeing, because there are some beautiful visuals in this movie. There are some beautiful designs in this film. I think that the costume designing is absolutely fantastic. I think their attention to detail as well, to trying to make everything look very much like Bali and the culture of Bali, to try to preserve it. They clearly, in the special features, focused a lot on that. But ultimately, again, even according to Ol Parker, who is the director and writer of the film, he said he wrote this film with them in mind. He wrote this film for George Clooney and Julia Roberts. So again, it just comes across as wrote the film for them just so that they could all go off to spend several weeks in an exotic location, having a lot of fun on the beach, right, just hanging out. And it really just doesn't feel like there was a lot of actual work on screen, right? It just felt like, okay, yeah, well, they have natural chemistry with each other. And yes, you have some actors and actresses in here who I think do a good job as well. Billy Lord does a actually pretty good job of being the kind of the drunk supporting friend of Caitlin Dever's character. But ultimately, there isn't a whole lot there as far as the acting. It's fine. It's again, inoffensive, but it's just, again, kind of just there in the process. So overall, I would say this film is very generic. This film is a very generic film. Some people will enjoy it. Some people will not enjoy it, right? Some people will say, okay, I just don't even feel like going through it. I remember that I was being very critical of it when following the numbers, because the film was a financial success. But I said, yeah, all I see when I look at this poster is, okay, two Hollywood elites. It looks like they're just spending some time in an exotic location, and sure enough, that's what the film actually is. And then you get to the ending of the film, and there's a final shot where there's a jumping off of a boat, basically, and it's a freeze frame. And I'm like, okay, I'm definitely feeling a 90s vibe here, but at the same time, I'm wondering if they did this, and even the special features, they didn't show you that shot after the fact. I'm wondering if they didn't even jump into the water. Like, was there an issue with them even jumping into the water? The movie's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and give this film a C+ rating. Again, it's not the best film in the world. It's not the worst film in the world. It's just there. It's the kind of movie that I think that my mom would go see, to be honest. It's the kind of movie where they would see the trailer for it. My mom and maybe one of her friends would say, "Oh, I want to go see this movie." because it looks like something where I might just be able to, to laugh occasionally, etc. So this seems to be made for moms and grandmoms, to be perfectly honest. And so, hey, if you're in that category, then you might enjoy it. If you like George Clooney or Julia Roberts, hey, you might enjoy this film as well. And if you like exotic locations, then again, you might not get actual Bali, but hey, they are filming in Australia, so there are obviously some beautiful things that happen and beautiful locations in that area as well. As far as the actual Blu-ray release is concerned, again, everything looks about as good as it can be. The film itself, I think, does have those artificial moments, but that is no fault of the actual Blu-ray transfer of the movie. The Blu-ray transfer actually looks pretty good. The upscaling into 4K actually worked very well on my TV, so it looked really good. Sounded pretty good as well. But again, nothing really groundbreaking there. And it does come with some special features, but the special features, I think, are pretty much by the numbers kinds of things. You have an interview between George Clooney and Julia Roberts talking about their chemistry, working together, and all that other things. So again, it's two Hollywood elites talking about how great it is to be working together once again in an exotic location, getting paid countless millions of dollars. But those are my thoughts on Ticket to Paradise. Have you seen Ticket to Paradise? Let me know in the comment section down below. And also, again, shout out to Universal for sending me this copy to review. Really does mean a lot. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, smash that like button, that fire button, honestly, and smash the rumble button. You're all amazing and beautiful people. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge special shout out to all of my November Patreon Subscribe Star and Locals members at the Keeper of the Bifrost level and above. Starting off with Patreon with Father Luca Illich. Thank you very much, Father. Garrett Searles, Jaimir Irie Hymason, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Laura, The Modern Major General Story, Orange Hat Reviews, who you can check out on YouTube at his channel, Orange Hat Reviews, Rosetta Allen, who also has a YouTube channel that you can check out at Eagle Writer, and Miss Martin Muses, who also has a YouTube channel, Miss Martin Muses, and of course, the amazing Empress of the Universe, Tina B, who you can check out at her YouTube channel, Tina B, where she hosts the show with Stephanie B, one of my mods, and one of my Valkyrie, called Soup to Nuts. Check out Soup to Nuts, and it premieres pretty much every Friday. So again, shout out to all of my Patreon people, also to all my Subscribe Star people, starting off with Matt317. Check him out on Twitch at Matt317. The R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, J-Rod, the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. And ZK-Man you could check out over at xtheboundaries.co to follow him as he starts his podcast, and also for many of his musical musings as well. Check him out. Very, very talented guy. And then lastly, my locals peeps. We got Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan. How about a hockey player? UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson for the win. J.H. Schwalbach, Brett D90, and the amazing lawyer, Robert Barnes. Thank you all so very much for supporting me. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, go ahead and check out the top link in the video description below where you get access to that. Also, you get access to special things like giveaways and also exclusive podcasts that I do with John the Flickinger and other guests throughout the month of November and in the previous and the months to follow as well. And again, if any of that sounds interesting to you, especially the 4K giveaways, Steelbook giveaways, some of them that I have to give away this month are films like Starship Troopers on 4K Steelbook, Top Gun Maverick on 4K Steelbook, amongst many others. If that sounds interesting to you, check out the link and follow the instructions down below. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.